Hello and welcome to the Nothing, and we have another record haul and extension to my last video of how I hunt records. Number 20. We hit the max the LP could hold. A crooner tells us love is the thing. A horse with no name crosses the desert. A man's only album. Several number ones enter the collection. And a promo album appears for the first time in a little while. And I am also a rock with my poems. This and more coming up on Record Hall 20. So, as you may have just heard, this is an extension slash roundup of sorts to my previous episode of about how I hunt records. Now, you may know if you've seen that, and if you haven't, go watch it so you get a preview of where these came from. Is that I was able to look through a collection, and I pulled out things I wanted from it, and that's where these albums come from. They were originally in 3 boxes, and in the description for that video, I did promise, since I only ended up recording the first one, I would mention where they came from, if they were not from the first box or the box shown in the video. But for context, the first box would be the one that was shown in the video. The second box, if you saw the overview, anytime I showed that, the second box was the one to the left of that one. And above that one, which had Neil Diamond's love songs in it, was the third box. So anyway. And I also have an answer to my pop quiz question that I put in the community tab. So if you haven't answered that right now, go over there real quick, answer that, put in your guess, and then come back. Okay, now that you're back, let's pull out the record box here. Yeah, this is the large one. I got quite a few, so I'm just using the second one. Let's go ahead and open it now. This gets falling off over here. Okay, it's all the way. And we're going to start straight off the bat with the Love Is the Thing, as we just mentioned. Love Is the Thing by the voice of Nat King Cole. So we're starting in the late 50s, early 60s here with this copy. You can see it's a little warped, but on the thing, that's probably got wet. But anyway, let's pull out the inner sleeve. Now there was a custom printed inter sleeve, so we'll take a quick look at it. I definitely own none of these. So this album was in the second box, which was not shown. You can see it, however, because it was very folded up, but you could see it. So of course he was on Capitol because supposedly he was the house that Nat built, Capitol Records. As you can see, this is the classic label that most people associate with the Beatles, their classic albums. The next up, we have the movie soundtrack to the West Side Story from 1961. Of course, many of you may know that they recently just remade this album, or not remade this album, I'll tell you what they did too. But they recently remade a new version of this film. And this is the original soundtrack recording from the 61 film. So there's everything on the inside. Let's pull out the disc. There's no sleeve for this one. And yes, this is a Columbia 6i. So this is another Columbia 6i on the collection. This is also the first Columbia Masterworks record, which, if I understand correctly, these were good quality discs. But yeah, so that's another 6i into the collection. And then we move to 1965 with Golden Hits of the Four Seasons. West Side Story was in the second bin. This was in the first bin. And we'll go ahead and pull it out. It's in an incorrect Capitol's paper sleeve, but first, we'll show the VJ label, which of course the Beatles were first released on VJ. Got several number ones here, of course. Sherry was one. Walk Like a Man was one. And Big Girls Don't Cry was also a number one. I'll take a quick look at the paper sleeve, even though it's not original. Okay, this would be 1963 or 4 because there's a Surfing USA by the Beach Boys there. Then we move into 1965, got the Definite Aspie 64. With Simon and Garfunkel's Sounds of Silence. This is the I Am a Rock, and I have my book of poetry. Because of course it's from I Am a Rock. This was in box 1. This was one of the big keeps. Now I believe this is a reissue, however. I also switched out the paper sleeve. If you saw the video where I originally showed it in, there was a sleeve that was hanging on all ripped up and stuff. I just replaced it with the one that was in that box already. And this tells me it's a reissue. If this came out originally, 65, it would have still been one of the, I don't know if it would have been 6i or it would have been the 2i, but as you can see, you got Simon Garfunkel there, Sounds of Silence. That's a number 1, of course. And then we move into 1967, I believe is what this is, with the Temptations Live. This was in box 1. Yeah, it's going to be 67, I believe, based on what's under it here. There's the Gordy label, as you saw in that video. I showed some of these there. This has My Girl on it, a live version. That was a number 1 for 1 week. And then we have the Supremes sing Holland, Dozer, Holland, with the number 1. You keep me hanging on. Which was a number 1. Twice, actually. Once with the Supremes, and then with Kim Wilde in the 1980s. Of course, they were on Motown. So you get your classic Motown label here. And then also in the same year, we have Diana Ross, and now named Diana Ross and the Supremes Greatest Hits. Which is a stereo copy there. Deluxe package, they call it deluxe, so there's 2 discs essentially. I've already played this one with their 7 number 1s. If we'll look here real quick. Where Our Love Go, Baby Love, Come See About Me, Stop in the Name of Love, Back in My Heart Again, or Back in My Arms Again, I Hear a Symphony, Can't Hurry Love, You Keep Me Hanging On, Love Is Here, Now You're Gone, and The Happening were all number 1s. Yeah, Supremes had quite a run in the mid-60s, number 1s. They were, again, Motown. I'm just going to show one disc because it's similar with both. And then we move all the way to 1971 with The Horse with No Name, which is, of course, America, their debut album, and that was their first number 1. I think, no, this was their first number 1 only. I think, yeah. And there is The Horse with a No Name. Let's pull out the disc here. There's no sleeve again, I believe. Yep, paper sleeve, yep. As you can see, it's a little later edition because it's got I think they call this the Palm Tree label, Warner Brothers, which you've seen quite a bit with Rod Stewart and Fleetwood Mac, and yeah. Horse with No Name's number 5 there. Remember we were saying about the maximum that the LP could hold was 20 songs? Well, here we go. 20 explosive original hits by the original stars. As you can see on the front, there's some big names. For example, there's the Box Tops, Tia Makossa, Tommy James and the Shondells, Canned Heat, The Who, Edison Lighthouse, Shocking Blue had a number 1, Uncle Jerry had a number 1, So this was a compilation. 20 big hits. Now that would definitely be an interesting thing on there. That collector. So this was a K-tel product. I had a K-tel product all the way back in episode 1. Or haul number 1 when I had the big haul. No, I think it was number 3, right? That's I actually got to it. Number 3. Let's pull this guy here. As you can see, classic K-tel. K-tel was one of those things that you would write into and you could get copies of this. And it actually says it's advertised on TV, so it was on TV at one point. So this has number 1, has a Venus. I'm your Venus. And there were some classics like In the Summertime by Uncle Jerry, Addison Lighthouse, Love Grows Where My Rosemary Goes. I can see for miles or so Who, Standard. Yeah. So that was 1971. This was in box number 2. And then we have Glen Travis Campbell. This is a compilation from 1972. I showed this one in that video as well. We'll just go quick about it. The original sleeve. We'll just show the disc real quick. This will be classic Capitol before they went to the orange labels. There we go. This is from 1972. This was in box 3. Neil Diamond's Hot August Night was second live album. Sorry, technically, Gold was also a live album. Recorded at the Greek Theater. There's a photo of him. I'll go sideways here so you can see him. Of course, as many of you may now know, he's no longer touring, but he was touring at this time. This was when he actually was retiring. Yeah, he actually retired earlier in his career. And here's the custom label. Very nice. Of course, Neil Diamond had several number one with Song Sung Blue. Was on here. He performed it live. The same other disc looked exactly the same, so we'll move on. This was 1972 or 3. Oh no, still 72 then. Because we followed that up from box 1 with Toulouse Street by the Doobie Brothers. I showed this one in episode 2. We're just going to quickly fast glance. It's a gatefold. This was in the era before they had Michael McDonald. And this was the album that famously had, oh, 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 listen to the music. As you can see, this was a reissue, I believe. So more of the palm tree label. We'll show it quickly. Okay. I'll just check this paper sleeve in here. Make sure it's not a original. Nope, not original. So we're good. And then as you can see up next, this is our promotional copy of Mickey Newberry's Heaven Help the Child. And as you can see, this was meant for radio because it says airplay suggestions. This is from 1973 on Elektra, so we'll have to see the white butterfly labels in a minute. But even though I showed this in that last episode. So I'll quickly show this again because the picture changed with the sliding out of the sleeve. Oop, cover that, cover that, cover that. Okay. This is the inner sleeve, which is printed. Got the lyrics on the other side. Cover, please. Thank you very much. Of course, you can see there's the white butterfly. It says, well, let me see what's on the other side. Right on the other side. There you go. It says radio stereo station copy. And the next up from 1975, we have Average White Band's Average White Band, their debut album. We're going to flip that over because it's not appropriate. Of course, this has the number 1. Pick up the pieces. Which was a number 1 in 1974 or 5. About the disc, they were on Atlantic, classic Atlantic label. Now let's quickly see if there was a custom paper sleeve in here. Yes, there was. There's the picture of the thing on the front, and here's your lyrics. But the songs that have lyrics, of course. Pick Up the Pieces was a #1 instrumental hit. And then the same year, we also have Glen Campbell and Rhinestone Cowboy, which was also another #1 that year. There's Rhinestone Cowboy. This was in box 1. Average White Band was in box 1 as well. Orange Capital, that's what they were using at that time. And then next up, we have from 1976, Starland Vocal Band. Starland Vocal Band, their debut album. Yeah, that's a gap. That was damaged there. Okay. They, of course, have one #1, and this was in box number 2, if I remember correctly. Here's the printed inner sleeve. There's the lyrics. Let's be real here. I've only got this one #1, otherwise I wouldn't even care. Then they were on a special label called Windsong. I think it was their own. That's side 1. The hit should be, it's on the other side. Yeah. Afternoon Delight, right there at #3, was the #1. And then we move on to 1978 with Casey and the Sunshine Band's 4th album. Yes, 78. There's no big hits on this one, but this was the only one in that box from box 1, which we saw, so I kept it. We'll take a quick look at the inner sleeve now. All the band members, of course, of KC at that time. Okay, we'll see the disc first. There you are with that, but if you give me a second, there's one other thing I need to pull out. One second. Also inside, these were kind of common at the time, but we have to join their record club. You're invited to participate in the International Band Fan Club, yeah. So this was original for the time. Obviously, you put your money in there, you sealed it, sent it to them, and you joined their fan club. And then next up, we got another TV album you would have bought from places like HSN. This is hit after hit. There's 20 original hits by the original stars on it. There's a couple #1s on here. Silver Convention, no. Bay City Roller, Saturday Night was #1. Diana Ross Team from Hoggity's a #1. There's some classics on here. Giant Taylor Disco Lady was #1. Piano Man, there's quite a few classics on here. This was in box 1, so I'm going to be a little quicker about it. As you can see, this is released on a group called Ronco. Ronco did a lot of the TV disc, like you saw with K-tel, for example. Also did stuff like this as well. And then in 1978 as well, we move on to Barry Manilow's Even Now. Even though in the previous video, I was wrong and I said there was #1s on this one. Nope. They were top 10 hits and 20 hits, but not #1s. Oops, that's right, I forgot that's right. Hey, be careful. Anyway, let's pull that out. This is your printed inner with your lyrics. It's got a letter to his friends. The big hits on here were Even Now and Copacabana. He was on Arista at this time, so this is a first for this label. And then in the same year, we have Neil Diamond's third live album, Neil Diamond Love at the Greek, recorded at the Greek Theater, actually same place where Hot August Night was recorded. Also, like many live albums, it's a 2-disc. By this time, he was going with the Rhinestone look. Bunch of live pictures. There's a statement from him himself. You can read that while I pull this disc out over here. In the paper sleeve. More photos from the gig. He was on Columbia by this point, so get the classic Columbia label there to get the point. That was 1978. And then also in the same year, we have another Neil Diamond album. Neil Diamond and I'm Glad You're Here Tonight. Oh, sorry, this one and the one before it were in box 3. Ready with me tonight. And as you can see here, this album was originally bought at Kmart, so this means this is from the era after it was renamed Kresge's. There was really no big hits, but this one, when he covered it with Diana Ross, Barbra Streisand became a #1, and Desiree was the first long-distance dedication on AT40. And then barcodes, we get to this now. If you have the mobile Discogs app, you can scan that, you can find the versions. Of course, he was on Columbia, we already just saw that. Just go quickly zoom it, there you go. Okay. And then we get to this man's only album from the preview. Steve Stajich. It's open reel. This was in box 1. So interesting, when I looked this guy up on Discogs, the only thing that was on there was his this album and a single. And that was it. So this is the first E.L.F. records, but this is because probably of where it's from. It was a local label in Denver, where the guy was from, probably. And then we move into 1979 with another Ronco Presents Disco Super Hits, as seen on TV. There's several #1s on here. This was in record box 1. Of course, we got classics like Ain't No Stopping Us Now, Gotta Be Real. Heart of Glass was a #1. Lisa Bridges' I Love the Nightlife was a #3 hit. Boogie Oogie Oogie, which you've seen a couple times, was a #1. Amy Stewart, Knock on Wood was a #1. And of course, Gary Gaynor, I Will Survive was a #1. What year was this? I'm going to go down. 1979. Makes sense. Blank inner sleeve, we'll just show you the yellow label. Ronco. You would have gotten this on television like the other ones we just showed you. And I move into 1981 with a compilation of Neil Diamond's love songs. This was in box 3. You could see this in the video in box 3. As you can see, it's just a compilation of things. That sheet. We'll show you the disc. He was on MC. This was released on MCA. Do it, guys. Yep. Okay. Nothing on it. And then, lastly is Dan Fogelberg's The Innocent Age, which was in box 1. Again, barcode, you can scan that. This was a double disc album. Hey, don't support that's fine, I guess. As you can see, credits. This is the lyrics. It's actually a lyric book, not a lyric sheet, or interpret inner sheet, like I said. There's 8 pages. We'll just skip right to the end. There's a photo down. I want to show you one of the discs. He was on Full Moon and Epic, which released this album. So you can see there's no behind string and stuff on it. And with that is everything I got from those 3 boxes. It ended up costing me a total of $25 and some fishing tackle and stuff I was not using anymore as part of a trade. So that is what I kept out of those boxes, and that is record haul number 20. I hope to see you again probably in about another 3 months, let's be honest. I'm probably not going shopping again for these for a little while. But yeah. So anyway, I hope to see you again, and maybe we will be talking again soon.